The final warning. The world was quiet when the message first came through. It was unlike anything anyone had ever heard before. The warning wasn't sent as a plea or a request, but as a statement, cold and final. The alien race known as the Zorathians, a powerful species that ruled much of the galaxy, had decided that Earth's time had come. Across the world, people stopped what they were doing as the message echoed through every television, every radio, and every communication system. The voice was strange, metallic and distant, but clear. This is your final warning, humanity. Your world has no place in the future of the galaxy. You are a threat, and you will be removed. There was a brief silence as the world tried to process what had just happened. It was too much to take in at once. Many people were in shock, while others were filled with anger. But no one knew what to do. How could they fight against something so powerful? The Zorathians had conquered planets for centuries, their technology light years ahead of anything Earth could imagine. The leaders of the world gathered in a secret meeting, hidden away from the public eye. These were the most powerful men and women in the world, the ones who held the future of Earth in their hands. They were supposed to be prepared for any situation, but this was something new. This wasn't just a war with another nation. This was the end. The President of the United States, standing in front of the group, spoke first. We can't let this happen. We can't just roll over and let them take us. We have to show them that Earth is not to be underestimated. But the others in the room didn't look as confident. They all knew the Zorathians had advanced weapons, ships that could tear through cities in seconds, and an army that could crush anything in its path. They had never seen such power before. How could Earth stand up to something so massive, so unstoppable? One of the generals, a veteran of many wars, spoke quietly. We don't stand a chance. We have nothing like what they have. This isn't just a battle of soldiers and tanks, it's a battle of worlds. The room fell silent as everyone understood the weight of those words. Earth had never faced an enemy like this. No army, no weapon, no strategy could win this fight. At least, that's what it seemed like. But then, something strange happened. One of the scientists, Dr. Lena Park, who had been quietly sitting in the back of the room, suddenly stood up. She had always been the quiet one, the one who preferred to work in her lab rather than deal with politics. But today, her voice was firm. There is something we have, she said, her voice catching the attention of everyone in the room. Something that the Zorathians don't know about. The others looked at her, confused. What are you talking about? Asked the president. Dr. Park paused before speaking again, her eyes dark with secrecy. We've been working on something for years, something that could give us a chance to fight back. But it was kept secret, even from you. Only a handful of people knew. The room was now filled with whispers. What could Earth possibly have that could stand up to the might of the Zorathians? Dr. Park continued, her voice steady but filled with urgency. It's an ancient artifact, buried deep beneath Earth's surface. We don't fully understand it yet, but it's powerful, far more powerful than anything the Zorathians have ever seen. And I believe it could be the key to stopping them. For a moment, there was silence again. The idea of an ancient artifact hidden beneath Earth was something that sounded almost too good to be true. But the fear in Dr. Park's eyes told the others she wasn't joking. She truly believed this was humanity's last hope. The president stepped forward. Where is it? Dr. Park looked at him, then glanced around at the others in the room. It's hidden in a location so secure, only a few people know its exact coordinates. If we want to use it, we have to act fast. The Zorathians won't wait long before they come. They will strike before we even have a chance to prepare. A wave of realization hit the room. The world was on the brink of destruction, and humanity's only hope was an ancient, unknown power buried deep within the planet. It was a chance, a small chance, but it was the only one they had. And so, the leaders of Earth made a decision that would change everything. They would find the artifact, unlock its secrets, and prepare for the fight of their lives. They knew that time was running out. The Zorathians were out there, and they were coming. "Prepare the teams," the president said, his voice hard with determination. "We have no choice. The fate of Earth depends on this. And we will not go down without a fight." The message from the Zorathians was still echoing in the background. It had been a warning. But now, humanity had its own message to send: "We are not going down without a fight, and we are far more dangerous than you think." The hidden power. As the days passed, the atmosphere on Earth became heavier, a sense of urgency clouding everything. News stations, once filled with entertainment and everyday updates, were now dominated by one story: the alien threat. But among all the chaos, one question loomed over humanity's leaders: could they really unlock the power hidden beneath their feet in time? Dr. Lena Park, the scientist who had revealed the existence of the ancient artifact, wasn't waiting around for answers. She had already begun assembling a team of the world's top researchers, engineers, and military personnel. They worked around the clock in a highly secretive underground facility. No one outside of this group knew what was happening. For all the rest of the world knew, they were still waiting for the Zorathians' next move. The facility was hidden in the remote mountains of Tibet, far from the prying eyes of the public. It was here that Earth's final chance at survival lay. Dr. Park stood before a large holographic map, pointing to a marked spot deep underground. "This is where we believe the artifact is," she said. "The location is older than recorded history. We don't know how it got there or who built it, but we do know this: it's the key to saving us." The map flickered, revealing a network of tunnels stretching beneath the Earth's crust, a labyrinth and maze no one had dared to explore. The map had been pieced together from ancient texts, drawings, and artifacts found over the centuries. Yet, no one had ever been able to understand their meaning, until now. A military officer, General Rajiv Sharma, stood to the side, arms crossed. "How long before we can get to it?" he asked, his voice low but steady. "We're ready to go," Dr. Park replied, her tone sharp. "We've already prepared the teams, but the journey will be dangerous. The artifact is buried beneath miles of rock and unstable terrain. Getting to it will take time and precision, but I believe it's our only shot." Sharma's eyes narrowed as he processed the situation. Time was something they didn't have. Every minute that passed brought them closer to the alien invasion, closer to Earth's destruction. If they didn't find the artifact soon, they might not survive the war. Meanwhile, the alien fleet was making its way toward Earth. The Zorathians were not just a military force, they were a race driven by pride and dominance. They viewed Earth as little more than a speck of dust in the vast expanse of space. Their message had been clear: your time is over. But what the Zorathians didn't know was that Earth's true power was not in its technology or weapons, but in something far older, something the universe had forgotten. Dr. Park's team moved fast. They had already designed and assembled a drilling rig that could cut through the toughest rock, and advanced machinery that would withstand the extreme conditions below. As the team descended into the depths of the Earth, there was a sense of anticipation in the air, mixed with a touch of fear. Could they really unlock the artifact in time? What would they find when they reached it? Hours turned into days as the team worked tirelessly. They passed through layers of rock, ancient fossils, and deep caverns, each one a reminder that they were venturing into the unknown. The deeper they went, the more the air grew thick with tension. Then, after what felt like an eternity, the drill bit hit something solid. A loud, echoing thud reverberated through the cavern. The team froze. For a moment, no one spoke. Dr. Park quickly motioned for the team to stop. They had reached their destination. The rock surrounding the artifact was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It shimmered with an unnatural light, pulsing softly, as if alive. The material itself was alien, its surface smooth yet rippling, as if it were made of something both organic and metallic. The deeper they dug, the stronger the energy from the artifact grew. "What is this?" one of the engineers whispered, awe in his voice. Dr. Park stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "This is it," she murmured. "This is humanity's future." They carefully extracted the artifact from its resting place, and as they did, the ground around them began to shake. The energy from the artifact was powerful, and it seemed to have a life of its own. It vibrated in Dr. Park's hands, sending a shockwave through the team. Then, with a sudden rush, the energy exploded outward, filling the cavern with light. The team shielded their eyes, and when the light finally faded, the artifact was no longer just an object, it was a weapon, a force of unimaginable power. Dr. Park stared at it in disbelief. She had only ever imagined what it might be capable of, but now, standing before it, she realized the true extent of its potential. It wasn't just something that could save Earth, it could change the balance of power in the entire galaxy. "What happens now?" General Sharma asked, his voice filled with both awe and concern. Dr. Park looked at him, her eyes filled with determination. "Now, we use it." But the real question wasn't whether they could use the artifact, it was whether they could control it. They didn't know what would happen when they activated its full power, or how it would affect the alien invaders. But they had no choice. The Zorathians were coming, and the time to act was now. As the team made their way back to the surface, the artifact safely secured, the world held its breath. Earth's last hope was no longer a secret. The final warning had been given, but humanity was about to show the galaxy what it was truly capable of. The first strike. The day had arrived. The artifact, a mysterious and ancient force buried deep within the Earth, had been unearthed, and now it was time for humanity to make its move. Dr. Lena Park stood in front of a massive control panel, her fingers hovering over the activation buttons. The artifact was housed in a chamber beneath the surface, far from the reach of the public, but now it was connected to a network of humanity's most advanced weapons systems. The energy coursing through the artifact seemed to be alive, a pulsating force that filled the room with a hum, resonating deep inside every person present. The team of scientists and military leaders gathered around, tense, knowing that the outcome of this moment would either lead to salvation, or doom. Dr. Park turned to the gathered military officers, including General Rajiv Sharma, who stood in front of a large screen showing the Zorathian fleet in orbit around Earth. It was as if the aliens had been waiting, watching, and now they were about to make their move. "We can't hesitate," Dr. Park said, her voice tight. "Once we activate this weapon, there's no turning back. We need to be ready for whatever happens next." General Sharma nodded, but the fear in his eyes was clear. "We've seen their ships. They're huge, powerful. We have nothing to match them, at least, not until now." With a deep breath, Dr. Park reached for the controls. The room fell silent as everyone awaited the moment that would change everything. She pressed the button. The ground trembled as the artifact's energy surged into the weapons systems. Across the globe, military bases that had been set up in secret for years suddenly came to life. Hidden silos opened, revealing massive underground launch platforms. Giant machines that had been buried for generations now powered up, their massive cannons extending toward the sky. The weapon wasn't just about physical destruction, it was far more advanced than anything the Zorathians had ever encountered. The artifact had awakened an energy field that bent light, gravity, and time itself, and humanity was about to harness it. Suddenly, the skies lit up. Humanity's first strike was a barrage of energy blasts that shot from the Earth's surface like lightning bolts, streaking into space. The Zorathians, unprepared for this kind of counterattack, watched in stunned silence as their lead warships were hit. The alien ships shuddered as if struck by a cosmic force. The energy was overwhelming, unstoppable. Massive Zorathian warships, their shields flickering under the assault, tried to retaliate but were no match for the newly unlocked power humanity had found. However, the Zorathian fleet was far from defeated. It was only the beginning of the fight. "Prepare for retaliation," General Sharma said as he watched the Zorathians regroup. His voice had lost the calm it once held, replaced with the grim realization that while humanity had surprised the aliens, the war had only just begun. But Dr. Park wasn't done yet. "We've just gotten started," she said, her eyes scanning the screen. "We've awakened something far more powerful than they know." Suddenly, the energy levels began to spike. The artifact's power was growing stronger with every pulse, responding to humanity's call for protection. Dr. Park looked over at the team, her heart pounding. "What's happening?" one of the engineers asked, his voice filled with awe and fear. Dr. Park watched the artifact's light grow brighter. It was as though the weapon was alive, responding to their will. It was beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed of. "I think it's adapting," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's feeding off the alien energy, gaining strength." On the alien side, the Zorathians were regaining their composure. They knew they were up against something they hadn't planned for. Their ships began to swarm around the Earth, launching a counteroffensive, their lasers tearing through space toward the surface. The massive alien warships unleashed their weapons in a show of force. The first blast hit Earth's atmosphere with enough force to shake the ground. Buildings shuddered, and panic spread. The air crackled with the sound of the energy beams, and for a moment, it seemed as if Earth might be overwhelmed. But the artifact's energy shield activated. The beams shattered against the force field like waves crashing against an unbreakable wall. And then the counterattack came. One of humanity's hidden weapons, a massive energy cannon powered by the artifact's energy, fired into space. The beam was so bright it nearly blinded everyone watching. The energy shot through space like a spear, hitting the Zorathian flagship with such force that the entire ship exploded in a flash of light. The Zorathian fleet faltered as their flagship disintegrated, leaving them in disarray. The humans watching from the control room erupted in disbelief. They had done it. They had struck back with a power no one had believed possible. The Zorathians were not ready for this. They were used to being the ones who held power, who made the rules. But now, Earth had sent them a clear message: humanity would no longer be passive. Humanity would fight back, and it would do so with a force that rivaled their own. But the battle was far from over. The Zorathians quickly regrouped, sending reinforcements to the front lines. It was clear now that this was no ordinary fight. The Zorathians had underestimated Earth, but humanity had only just begun to show what it was capable of. Humanity's first strike had shattered the alien perception of Earth as weak, but the real war was still to come. The fight for survival was only just beginning. The battle for survival. The Zorathians were stunned, but they weren't done. The loss of their flagship, the pride of their fleet, sent shockwaves through the alien ranks. But the Zorathians were ruthless, and they had prepared for such contingencies. Their forces began to regroup, and their fleet, though shaken, was far from defeated. Humanity had shown its strength, but the war was far from over. As Earth's military forces celebrated their victory, General Rajiv Sharma stood in the command center, staring at the massive screens that displayed the remnants of the Zorathian fleet. There were still thousands of ships orbiting Earth, their weapons charged and ready. And while Earth's first strike had given humanity a glimmer of hope, it was clear that the battle ahead would be much more intense. "We've only made them angry," General Sharma muttered, his eyes scanning the battlefield. "We've just provoked them, and now they'll come for us with everything they have." Dr. Lena Park, who had been working tirelessly with the military to manage the artifact's power, stood beside him, her face tense with concern. "The artifact is more powerful than we ever expected, but I'm afraid it's still not enough. The Zorathians have far more resources than we can handle, and their fleet is growing by the hour. If we don't find a way to push them back now, we risk losing everything." The general nodded, frustration evident on his face. "What do you suggest?" "We're running out of options, and the world's economy is crumbling. We can't keep relying on this artifact forever." Dr. Park paused, her mind racing. "We need more time. Time to understand the artifact fully and time to develop new technologies to fight back. But that requires us to hold them off." A deep rumble shook the control center, and the lights flickered. Everyone turned to the screens just in time to see an enormous explosion in Earth's orbit. The Zorathians had launched a direct assault on the planet, firing massive energy cannons toward major cities across the globe. The world was under attack. Across the globe, people scrambled into shelters as the skies were filled with debris from the falling alien weapons. The city of New York, once a shining symbol of humanity's progress, was now a battlefield, with Zorathian warships above and Earth's defenses firing back from the ground. The scene in the sky was a chaotic mix of flashing lights and explosions. But despite the overwhelming odds, humanity wasn't backing down. The artifact's power surged through Earth's defense systems, amplifying their capabilities. Humanity's military forces, despite being outnumbered, launched counterattacks, striking back with precision and force. Energy shields flared as alien weapons slammed into Earth's defenses, but the humans held firm. The first major battle of Earth's war for survival had begun, and humanity was determined to fight until the very end. Meanwhile, in the heart of the war room, Dr. Park was monitoring the artifact's energy flow. "We can't keep using it like this. The artifact is consuming more energy than we thought, and we're running low. If we don't find a way to recharge it, we'll be defenseless." General Sharma looked grim. "What if we're forced to abandon the artifact? What happens then?" Dr. Park's eyes widened. "We can't afford that. If we lose the artifact now, we'll lose the war. We have to stabilize its energy flow and find a way to harness its full potential." Suddenly, an urgent message appeared on Dr. Park's screen. "Incoming transmission," it read. It was from the Zorathian fleet. The room fell silent. Everyone knew that communication with the aliens could only mean one thing: they were preparing for a final assault. The message came through, loud and clear, from the leader of the Zorathians, a towering figure known only as Zarqa. "You have made your choice, humans. You have chosen to defy us, and now you will pay the price. The galaxy does not need your kind. We will destroy your world, and your species will be nothing but a forgotten memory." The transmission cut off abruptly, and the room was filled with tension. The Zorathians had declared their intention to wipe Earth off the map once and for all. But humanity wasn't finished yet. General Sharma stood tall, his resolve unwavering. "This is not the end. We will fight, and we will win. They may think we are weak, but they don't know what we're truly capable of. We've already proven them wrong once, and we'll do it again." Dr. Park's eyes locked onto the screens, her mind racing with possibilities. She knew that Earth's true strength wasn't just in the artifact, it was in the people, the resolve, the spirit of humanity. And now, that spirit was about to be tested like never before. In the days that followed, Earth's military forces mobilized at an unprecedented scale. Every country, every military base, every civilian force came together, knowing that the fate of their world hung in the balance. It was no longer just about defending Earth, it was about showing the Zorathians that humanity was not going to back down. They would fight to the last breath. As the Zorathian fleet loomed closer, the final battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. Would humanity be able to harness the full power of the artifact? Would the Zorathians finally realize the strength they had underestimated? Or would this be the last stand of a species that dared to challenge the galaxy? The answers were just on the horizon, and humanity was ready to face whatever came next. Humanity's triumph. The skies over Earth were nothing like anyone had ever seen before. Shimmering lights, the deep hum of massive ships in orbit, and flashes of energy from weapons on both sides filled the atmosphere. It was as if the planet was fighting for its life, and it was. General Rajiv Sharma stood on the command platform, staring at the vast screens showing the Zorathian fleet closing in. The once mighty alien armada was now in disarray, but their numbers were still overwhelming. Humanity's surprise counterattack had shaken the invaders, but it hadn't broken them. The Zorathians, now desperate, were not going to give up easily. "We need to finish this," General Sharma muttered under his breath. His hands gripped the edge of the console, sweat beading on his forehead. The pressure was mounting with every passing second. He could feel it in his bones, the final strike was coming. Dr. Lena Park, her face pale but determined, stood beside him. We've already pushed them back further than they expected. But we don't know how long the artifact can keep up. If we push it too hard, we risk losing everything. Sharma glanced at her, his gaze sharp. We don't have a choice. We fight, or we lose. The artifact is our only hope now. The moment of truth had arrived. Humanity had only one chance to turn the tide, and they were going to use everything they had. The artifact, now fully charged and radiating with an intense energy that seemed to pulse like a living heart, had become the key to Earth's survival. But it wasn't just the weapon, it was the collective will of humanity, their spirit, their refusal to surrender that would make the difference. Earth's last line of defense had been activated, a massive energy shield that stretched from the surface of the planet to the far reaches of the atmosphere. This shield, empowered by the artifact, could protect Earth from the alien weapons. But it was temporary. Humanity needed to strike back while they still had the advantage. Dr. Park took a deep breath and hit the button. A deep hum filled the air as the artifact's energy coursed through the planet's defenses, amplifying the shield's power to previously unimaginable levels. The shield shimmered, becoming a nearly impenetrable wall that enveloped the planet. The Zorathians fired their weapons with all their might, but the energy blast simply evaporated against the force field, their power useless against the shield's strength. This is our chance, Dr. Park whispered. General Sharma's hand moved to the intercom. Prepare for the final assault. All forces, prepare to launch everything we have. Across Earth, military bases erupted with activity. Ground forces, air fleets, and space fleets prepared for what could only be called the final push. Every human who could fight, whether soldier or civilian, was ready. The global effort, born from years of desperation and planning, was now all coming together in this one moment. The Zorathians, realizing that their weapons were ineffective against Earth's defense, began to scramble, sending everything they had in one last desperate assault. Their massive warships launched thousands of drones, each bristling with energy weapons, aiming directly at the heart of Earth's defenses. But humanity had prepared for this. In response to the Zorathian drones, a counterforce of Earth's most advanced fighters, powered by the artifact's energy, rose from underground bunkers and the ocean depths. They took to the skies with unmatched speed and precision, cutting through the alien drones like a knife through butter. Earth's fighters, fueled by the same energy as the artifact, were faster, stronger, and more agile than anything the Zorathians had ever encountered. The alien fleet was falling apart, their once proud warships exploding in a brilliant flash of light. Every strike from Earth seemed to hit its mark, breaking through shields and tearing ships apart. Humanity was no longer the underdog, it was the predator. Dr. Park, watching from the command center, saw the full power of the artifact unfold. The energy it released was incredible, creating bursts of light so bright they seemed to change the very fabric of space around them. She could feel the energy surging through the room, and she realized that humanity had unlocked something even greater than they had hoped for. But as the final Zorathian ships fell from the sky, a new threat emerged. A massive Zorathian flagship, seemingly untouched by the destruction, appeared from behind a cloud of smoke and debris. It was enormous, towering over every other ship in the fleet, and it was charging directly toward Earth. The Zorathians had one final weapon, a superlaser that could disintegrate entire cities. And it was aimed directly at Earth's capital. General Sharma's eyes widened. We have to stop that ship. Now. Dr. Park's mind raced. They were running out of time. There was no way Earth's current defenses could stop that superlaser in time. But then, something unexpected happened. The artifact, which had been dormant for a moment, suddenly surged with power, as though it was responding to Earth's desperate need. Dr. Park quickly accessed the controls and felt the energy coursing through her fingertips. She had no idea how, but she knew they had to act now. We can use it, she said, her voice trembling. I think we can use the artifact to destroy that ship. Without hesitation, Dr. Park and the team activated the artifact's full power. The room was flooded with a blinding light as the energy from the artifact shot out into space, streaking toward the massive Zorathian flagship. The flagship's superlaser charged, but before it could fire, the energy from Earth collided with it. A shockwave rippled through the atmosphere as the alien ship was torn apart from the inside out, exploding in a flash of light that illuminated the entire sky. Earth had won. The remaining Zorathian fleet, seeing their leader destroyed, quickly retreated, fleeing back into the far reaches of space. The battle for Earth was over. As the world's people looked up at the skies, there was no sound but the deafening roar of victory. Humanity had fought back, using not only the artifact but their own willpower to defeat a force much stronger than they ever imagined. They had proven the galaxy wrong. General Sharma stood silently on the command platform, his heart pounding, his mind racing. They had done it. Humanity had shown the universe that they would never be underestimated again. "We are not just survivors," he said softly, as the cheers from across the world echoed in his ears. "We are the hunters now."